till 1 o'clock, and really just so excited about talking to our next guest, who is Dr. Mohammed Moosajee, as mentioned earlier. And we're very glad that he could, in fact, join us, even if it's just via telephone line. Assalamu alaikum and welcome, Dr. Moosajee.
Alaikum, Alaikum salam, Najma. Thank you for having me.
The pleasure is ours. You know that we're featuring you in our Lens 70 podcast series, and it's wonderful that we have people like yourself who've taken the world stage that we can proudly say are, well, originally Lenasians. So share your story of growing up in Lenasia with us.
Thank you for the opportunity. I mean, grew up.
Okay, our signal is not too clear. We can't hear you. Let's see
Hear
if
me
you can
now.
just continue talking. Let's see. We apologize for that interruption. Okay.
I said,
You were, yes, go ahead.
yeah, I said I was born in what we call the old Proteas, and at the age of 1, we moved to Lens, and I very much lived there for the first 25 years of my life. I went to school in Lens, attended primary school and high school there, and the opportunities at that time, be it education, be it academics, be it sport. I mean, Lens literally molded me and many others into who we are today. Uh,
In what? Yes.
both, both soccer and cricket were very much part of my life.
Mm-hmm.
I grew up playing a lot of sport in Lens and in Johannesburg, and it gave me great opportunities. Venturing
Yes.
into sports and into medicine. I'm privileged to say the least.
Right. And what would you say when you say, Lens basically shaped who you are today, or what inspired you, or you developed your passions? What contribution did living in Lenasia make towards that?
I think firstly there was always a sense of community. I mean,
Mm.
people generally galvanized around you, in good times and bad times. The standard of our education was phenomenal. The kind of educators that we had
Mm-hmm.
on the sports field, the tenacity of the athletes, the coaches themselves, the knowledge that were passed on through the generations, sort of kept us in good stead. So when we had to function out in the world space, it allowed us an easy adjustment into that.
Right. Now, you state that, former provincial cricketer and captain South African schools in the apartheid era. What were the challenges you faced as a cricketer during apartheid?
Around facilities. It was also around the fact that when integration took place. Obviously, I'm going ahead of what we're talking about. Is that
Sure.
I think when integration took place, it was generally a major adjustment because we've always grew up believing that there will be no normal sport in an abnormal society. And all of a sudden, when democracy came, we all had to play under one roof. But it was very difficult at that time for people of color to be able to break into the provincial stage, forget the world stage, was not easy at all. During the apartheid days, what was great is that even when it came to football and cricket, the standard of sport was extremely, extremely high. I mean, in Lenasia alone, we had at least about 30 teams that were playing in the league.
Right.
And from that, you almost had a majority of those players that were playing in Lens represented Transvaal. And at that
Mm-hmm.
stage, some of the Transvaal players actually represented a South African team where we could not play
Okay.
internationally, but there was a select team for SACB at the time, the South African Cricket Board. And a few of the
Mm-hmm.
Lenasians featured amongst that. So
Right.
definitely, I think cricket was of a high standard. There was a lot of dedication from the coaches, and people were very committed to the sport. When
Mm-hmm.
unity took place, it was a bit of an adjustment because we never
Okay.
had people in decision-making positions that made it easy for people of color to make it, whether it was football or cricket. And it was a journey. I mean, we had some outstanding youngsters within our
Right.
system who, when unity took place, just never got the break or just never got the opportunity. You can
Right.
fast forward that another 10, 15 years, and then it's the first time that players like Hashim Amla and Imran Khan and Imran Tahir broke the barriers. where they were given
Hmm.
the opportunities, having come from previously disadvantaged communities.
Right. Now, having said that, just moving back a bit, in terms of previously disadvantaged and, the poor facilities and just access to professional coaches or academies, etc., I know that was the biggest struggle. And yet you made it through that, and then you chose to become the team manager anyway. But uh, your growth, and how you persevere through that, because even integration then became a challenge, as you've mentioned.
Yes, it was. I mean, and I think, I always reflect on my journey, and I must say, I mean, I've got to make like shukr, as we say, that
Right.
opportunities have come my way, and maybe I have grabbed them. I mean, when I was at school still, at that stage, I wanted to study medicine, but having not had the grades that were good enough to get into medicine, and also it was very competitive to get into medical school initially. I ended up
Right.
studying pharmacy. And only when I
Hmm.
finished pharmacy, I realized, but listen, I've still got a desire to get back to med school. And that's when I went back. And
Right.
it was a sacrifice because I needed to work literally every night from 6 o'clock till midnight in a pharmacy,
Hmm.
and then during the day to go to med school. And when I
Right.
finished medicine, I still had a desire to get involved in sport. And sports medicine was more as a passion rather than a career at the time.
Right.
And
Right.
after studying sports medicine, there was an opportunity to get involved with the team as the team doctor, which I did for
Hmm.
a few years.
Hmm.
A team manager was never on my radar, never at all.
Okay.
Uh,
Right.
and and when that did present itself, obviously it gave me a different dimension, a different understanding, a different uh, aspect of what the world of cricket is all about. And
Hmm.
Alhamdulillah, I've had the privilege to serve the game from a medical perspective and as well as administratively.
Right. Alhamdulillah for that. Now, when this idea of the Land 70 podcast was proposed, and I was asked to present it, what came to mind for me was who, obviously, I think for everyone who's in the position that I was in or I am in, is who is our audience and who are we appealing to? And for me, I just thought, are we actually reaching the younger generation? Because right now, when you speak about the sacrifices you made, the determination with which you followed your passion and your dreams and your goals, how do we get role models or mentors like yourself to get the younger generation interested in what you've done?
I think it's important that people remember that there's no easy journey to anything. There's no easy passage. At the end of
Mm,
the day, there'll always be sacrifices along the way. Hard work, you can never replace hard work. I mean, I always believe that harder you work, the sort of luckier you become.
mm-hmm,
And if you have a dream, you need to persevere. If you think and you believe and you dream that you can achieve something, as far as possible, try and stick to that. Along the way, there are going to be challenges, there are going to be hurdles, there's going to be naysayers, but you can't get distracted. I think
right.
education is extremely important in today's world. At the same
Mm-hmm,
time, if people want to remain in the sports space and want to achieve, they need to make sure that they put in the hard yards early on. So
mm-hmm,
if you're a sports person, practice is very important. Trying to get better is extremely important. The mental adjustment of a professional athlete is exceptionally important. But more than that, I think at the end of the day, it's important for us that to teach our youngsters that if you can dream and you can believe, then you can achieve.
absolutely. Just one quick question comes to mind before we go for our break. Um, now that the opportunities are open to everyone since the new dispensation, do you think opportunities are still fairly distributed to people of other color?
Yeah, I was chatting to someone. I was in Singapore this weekend for the ICC conference, and we were talking specifically about the fact that why are there not many more players of color coming through, especially when it comes to cricket. And to me, the one challenge has been is more than it becoming a race issue.
Mm.
Unfortunately, it's also becoming a class issue. So
Oh,
every uh, person of color, and specifically when I talk about ethnic Black African that has played for South Africa in the last decade, have all come through private schools. And the
uh-huh.
reason has been is that They have better access to facilities, to coaches. It's the number of matches that they play is far more than what would be in a normal suburban or township school. So
Right.
definitely the disadvantages are there. But having said that, you still got to break the barrier.
Correct, correct. Okay. Right. Now, when we move on to, speaking about accessibility and opportunity, etc., now we move on to your career as a medical doctor, and you still have a rooms in Lenasia, still serving the community of Lenasia as a medical doctor. Accessibility to healthcare. What is your view on it, and what have you seen evolve over the years for people who lived in previously disadvantaged areas, which we still are in, considered that part of the deeper south of Johannesburg.
Yeah, I mean, medicine is definitely a passion of mine, and it's always been. And the fact that you can combine medicine and sport into one
Yeah.
career, for me, it's definitely a privilege. I mean, I love Lens. Having grown up there, I find that's my people, that's my community.
Hmm.
And I remember my late dad once told me when I qualified that
Hmm.
don't forget your people.
Hmm.
And that's one of the reasons that although I've got rooms in the north of Joburg, which I hardly ever go to, that I've made sure that I continue my practice together with my brother in Lens, and it's almost been like 25 years.
Hmm.
And there were times, with traveling, especially when you abroad with the national cricket team, and you've been
Hmm.
away for months, and sometimes you actually get homesick. You miss your patients and you miss your people from Lens.
Hmm.
So it's been very much a part of me, and I think it's something that always keeps me sort of grounded to know that you are able to make a difference. And to answer
Hmm.
your second part of the question is that
Hmm.
healthcare in South Africa, especially accessibility, is becoming more and more difficult. Our
Hmm.
government hospitals are nowhere near where it should be. We are losing a lot of our qualified personnel who are either going abroad or going into private practice just because it's becoming so difficult to work in the state service. And that's why it's still very important to have good family medical practitioners or general practitioners that
Hmm.
are able to serve the community.
Right. And, when we speak about the Lens 70 celebration, what does it mean to you or for you?
Well, hopefully it doesn't mean that I'm approaching 70 years old, that's for sure.
Well, let's.
No, I think it's you reflect on upon that the fact that Lens was born 70 years ago, and the journey and what people have gone through and the sacrifices that have been made, and the quality personnel that have evolved and emanated from Lens. It's all part of the celebration, and it must be celebrated. I think as a community, we've contributed immensely to this country in every sphere, be it academics, politics, sports, medicine, wherever it may be. Uh, a lot of the time, the roots of people and processes can be traced back to land, and we should all be very proud of that.
Correct. Absolutely. Um, In terms of the development and your observations, I mean, you lived in Lenasia for 25 years. You've seen it from, I quote this over and over, and that is the Dust Bowl to what it is today. What's your view on development or the lack thereof?
Yeah, it's a tough one because in certain aspects, Lens is really advanced. I mean, it's become a metropolis, or it's like the catchment area of the whole Southwest. I mean, from a
Mhm.
business point of view, Lens really does well. It serves a huge part of the community. But at the same time, from an infrastructure, it is challenging. We know that housing is a problem in South Africa, and the development of the informal housing around Lenasia has put a strain on our infrastructure. But having said it, it's difficult. There's no right
Mhm.
and there's no wrong because people need a roof over their head. But at the same time, if the government are not spending adequately, it is going to be challenged. There's no doubt about it.
Right. And we just see that the inequality and that gap just grows wider and wider. Have you seen that in both your fields?
There's no doubt about it. I mean, both in both sports and in medicine, the, the the gap between the have and the have-nots is certainly growing wider and wider.
Mhm.
And as a community, we need to be cognizant of that to be able to still make a difference for those that are less fortunate.
Hmm. So, in closing, what would your comments be, Dr. Mohammed Moosajee?
I think, like anything in life, we should never forget our roots. It's important that people that have come from lands, and a lot of them might be abroad or they might be living in other parts of South Africa, might be working in other spheres. They should also remember always to contribute to their home, because land is literally our home and many people's home. And at the same time, it still has a very important position in Gauteng itself and the country to make a difference to the community.
Right. I can't thank you enough for making the time for us this morning. I know you are about to catch a flight shortly. So,
I'm literally at
uh,
the airport about to go
yes,
through.
yes. Yes, thank you so much. So I won't keep you any longer, but I want to thank you and I want to also acknowledge the contributions you've made in both your professional fields. Jazakallah khair.
Thank you for having me and thank you for the opportunity.
It's our pleasure. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
All right, Dr. Mohammed Moosajee, qualified pharmacist and medical doctor with a special interest in family medicine and sports medicine, practicing in Lenasia for the past 25 years. And if one looks at his consulting medical roles, he was the head team physician to Kaiser Chiefs Football Club since 2008, chief medical officer to Reviv, South Africa, team physician to Rajasthan Royals at the 2024 IPL India Premier League, Indian Premier League, consulting doctor Johannesburg Super Kings at the SA20, matchday doctor at the Wanderers Stadium for the SA20, host, city medical coordinator, and matchday doctor for both the ICC Under 19 Men's and Women's World Cup in South Africa. What can we say about integrating two passions? It's really remarkable. And again, we're saying that, as he said, from Lenasia, always proudly to be serving the people of Lenasia and still going back to his roots. After the break, we look forward to speaking to our next guests and also medical doctors. One is a specialist. We catch up with them talking about the establishment of the first private clinic in Lenasia. That's the Lenmed Private Hospital.